Hired guns. Oh yeah, you remember them old Western movies of the hired guns? The old Louis L'Amour books we grew up on. I got a word for someone today. This morning in prayer, we had some guests come by the house and they got to talking about a need in another church, another pastor that I don't even know. We began to join together and to pray, and while I was praying, a word dropped into my spirit that I want to convey to you. Now, I'm holding a real gun and I'm wearing a real one. I've got several, but I keep them locked up. I'm very careful with them, and you should be too. This is like Mattel, don't do this at home. Although I am at home, and I've got guns on display, and the ones on display are inactive. They're taken apart, so they can't be used by a child. But don't break into my home. It'll be the last place you want to come. I'll just tell you that. But I had this thought come to my spirit, and it was about God can be a hired gun, so to speak. I say that tongue in cheek. But a message came to my heart, and that is from Malachi. Now don't get scared. I'm not asking for tithe or an offering. In fact, I've been pastoring again about a year back at this church, and I have never even taken an offering but to give away to a passing minister. Other people have come take some offerings, but listen, if you need to pay tithe and offering, pay it somewhere else. Don't pay it here, okay? Send it elsewhere. I don't want your money, but I do want to give you something that'll change your life. In Malachi chapter 3 and verse 11, God says, "And I will rebuke the devourer for your sake. I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, and he shall not destroy the fruit of thy ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in her field, saith the Lord of hosts." God says, I'm going to do something for you if you'll do something for me. And I use the ideal of a hired gun. You understand, I grew up in the mountains, guns, I was accustomed to guns. My dad, we had all the pickups with the gun racks. And I remember getting my first gun. I remember getting offered a job to be a hired gun to keep some animals out of a farmer's ranch and his fruit trees. And from his cattle, the deer would eat the fruit trees and the coyotes would eat the cattle. And so just a gunshot here and there everywhere would kind of clear the air and keep it, protect the harvest. And I remember my dad. He was into guns. We'd have coyotes trying to eat our sheep. Come here. We'd have come here. We'd have come here. We'd have we'd have rattlesnakes in the front yard, and come here, sweetheart. And so we kept guns by the door. We kept guns in the pickup. Dad would wear a gun. He was fast. He taught us how, throw a can in the air and shoot it. And the way you do that is when you throw it in the air, it goes up and then it stops for a half a millisecond and then it starts falling. Well, that's when you pull your gun out and you shoot it while it's just before it falls. And then it's going to fall slower than it went up. And you can shoot it 2 or 3 times if you know what you're doing. And he did. I remember sitting around the campfire and he'd get the mouthing off and he told someone, take that new hat of yours and you don't believe it, throw it up, I'll shoot it, fill it full of holes. Well, they said, you can't do that, Harold. And they threw it in the air, and sure enough, man, he pulled that old gun out, and bam, 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 bam. And before you know it, man had a hat full of holes. There's holiness. But I understand, I respect and understand guns. And I just like Mattel, I don't think you should try it at home. But the ideal of God that came to me today, God, in so many ways, basically says, I'll be your hired gun. I'll take care of the devourer for you. The robber that's trying to rob you of your future. The robber that's trying to rob you of your blessing. The robber that's trying to rob you of the fulfillment of prophetic entrance for your life that God has for you. I'll take him out of the way for you. If you'll do something for me, I'll take care of the rest for you. You make matter to you what matters to me, and God says, I'll make matter to me what matters to you. I'll be your hired gun. What did he say to do? Before verse 11 of Malachi 3, he said, I will rebuke the devourer for your sake. I'll rebuke cancer. I'll rebuke any physical ailment. I'll rebuke financial woes. I'll rebuke the robber that's trying to steal your victory. I'll take care of it if you'll take care of it for me. What do I have to take care of for him? Watch what he said. Verse 8 of Malachi 3. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But you say, I'm reading right here, but you say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and in offerings. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Then God says, bring ye all the tithe into the storehouse, that there shall be meat in my house. And prove me now wherewith saith the Lord of hosts, if I won't open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sake. I'll take care of the robber that's trying to rob you if you'll stop robbing me. If you want to put the hired guns that are coming against you on the run, then hire me, God says. You see, I remember back in the Old West, the rancher that won, the rancher that protected his claim was the one that had the fastest, best hired guns. Can I tell you today? There's a hired gun that you can employ and deploy for the promises of prophetic victory in your life. And it's if you'll say, God, I'm going to give back to you every 10% of what you've given me plus a little more. I remember preaching in churches. I remember the first church we started, struggling, people sick, people having devourers, adversaries. And we simply taught them the principle of giving to God. And God showed up as a hired gun. Healings happened. Miracles of finance took place. I want to encourage you today. I'm not asking for your offering. I'm not giving you a way to send it here. God's blessed us. Our mortgage situation we're in, we don't have a PG&E bill, a water bill, a mortgage payment for the next 24 years. We're blessed. We don't need your money. But find a church. Find a ministry. Make sure you have a pastor and pay your tithe and bless. And watch how God will turn the tables on the robber that's stealing your blessings. And he'll be your hired guns. God bless you. Take on your day in Jesus' name.